Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how I add hair to my knotless braids. I've been getting a lot of questions about how many pieces I add to each braid, how thick are the pieces, when do I start and stop, and also how do I seal the ends. So today I'm going to be showing you guys those specific things. So if you're interested and you have questions about those things, then definitely keep on watching. So I'm going to start out by parting her hair. Next, I would take my product. This is the product that I always use with every single style. I love this product because it does exactly what it says it's supposed to do. It's conditioning gel. So not only does it hold the hair, but it also moisturizes the hair. I usually see a lot of people taking the product and slapping it across the parting. I don't like to do that because I don't like to suffocate my client's hair. Not my client's hair. I don't like to suffocate my client's scalp with doing that. So I like to just take the gel and apply it to my client's hair as opposed to applying it to their scalp. And I also like to keep some on my hand as well, just so it's easier to access. So I'm going to go ahead and smooth out the hair. So next, what I'm going to do, I'm going to section out each plait. This allows me to see how many plaits are going to be in this particular row. So what I like to do is go ahead and part the hair off. And we're using the previous row as a guide. We want to make sure that the parting from each row is going to be covered by a braid in the next row. So now we're going to take the section that we're going to be working with and apply more product to that section just to make sure the entire section is covered with product at the root. So I went ahead and sectioned off some pieces just for me to grab as I go. And this is how big my pieces are. Now, this all depends on the thickness of your client's hair. My client here, my mannequin head, her hair is pretty thick. So we're not going to be adding a whole lot of extension hair at the root. We'll definitely add more to the ends because we want that part to be longer. But as far as starting out, we're not going to be adding a whole lot. And as you guys can see, I am using a different color so you guys can kind of see where I'll be adding the hair. So like I said, the thickness of the hair depends on how thick your client's hair is and also how thick you want the braids to be. So this is the thickness of the braids that I'm going for. So we're going to be using this amount. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to section off this section into 3 subsections. We want to make sure that they are the same thickness, each subsection is the same thickness. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and grab my 3 sections, and I'm going to start out by grabbing my piece furthest to my left, lifting that middle section up. Now I start off by braiding overhanded. You can start off by braiding overhanded, or you can start off by braiding underhanded, just whichever is comfortable for you. I'll show you both ways. This way I'm going to show you guys how I braid overhanded. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that piece furthest to my left, and I'm going to take that middle section, cross that over that piece to the left, and grab my piece furthest to my right. And what I did was I took that piece that was originally over to the left, I took it under the middle section and brought it up. Now here's where we're going to add our first extension. So I'm going to be adding it to my piece furthest to my right. So I'm going to go ahead and add it to that section. Trying to make sure you guys can see that, because I know I get a lot of comments saying that you guys cannot see, so I want to make sure you guys are seeing this. So this is how I added it. Now, for demonstration purposes and educational purposes, I'm going to go ahead and add that other end. I'm going to go ahead and add that to the middle section. Typically, I'll leave this free, and then I'll continue to braid, then I'll add it to that section, but for educational purposes, we're going to go ahead and add it to that middle section, because I think it'll be easier for you guys to grasp that way. So now we've added one end to our piece furthest to our right, and then we took that other end and added it to the middle piece. And so now we're going to continue to braid. Grabbing that piece over to the left, and then grabbing that piece over to the right. And again, we're going to add another piece. One end is going with that section over to my right, and then the other end is going with my piece in the middle. Hey you guys, Future Tiffany here, realizing during editing that there was a better way to show you guys how to add the hair. Instead of adding it to our finger here and bringing it up, you may find it easier to add it to your middle piece first and then bring it down and add it to your piece on the right. I'm going to show you guys that again. We're going to add it on top to our middle piece and then bring it around and add it to our right piece. And now we'll switch to underhand. Now, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to underhand just because it's easier to get it tight that way. And also I want you guys to be able to see what's going on. And this will also allow you to see what's going on with your braid, making sure that everything is lying neatly and everything is flowing properly. And what I'm doing, I'm just pulling each strand, making sure that everything is tight. And we're going to hold it to make sure it stays tight. Now what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and grab another small piece of extension. Now what we're going to be doing, we're going to add that piece underneath, adding it to our middle section again and our piece furthest to our right. And then we're going to continue to braid, but now we're braiding underhanded. I think that's about 3 extension pieces we've added so far. So now I'm examining to see if the thickness of the braid is what I desire. It's actually a little smaller than my previous section, so I should have made these pieces a little thicker, but we're going to go ahead and continue. So we're going to add our 4th piece underneath, adding it to our middle section and our section furthest to the right. We're going to go ahead and add our 5th piece. And we're going to continue to braid. So far I've added 5 pieces, and I'm going to stop there just because this is just how thick this braid is going to be, guys. Now if this was a live client, obviously I will go back and make the pieces thicker, but because this is a mannequin head, we're not going to do that. And I'm actually going to add 1 more piece, adding it underneath to that middle section and to our piece furthest to the right. Taking everything under, 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 under. So basically what we're doing, we're taking the pieces that are on the end, we're continuing to add them, take them under the piece in the middle. Under. See, this is the piece in the middle. We're taking that piece furthest to the left, we're taking it underneath that middle piece. Same here, piece furthest to the right, we're going to take that underneath the middle piece. And I'm pretty much giving you guys a tutorial on how to braid. I would hope that you guys already know how to braid. I'm trying to do these knotless braids, but for those of you that are here to just learn everything, you just learn how to braid. So again, I like to take product and smooth it on each strand just to keep the flyaways to a minimum. Slide her up. And we're just going to braid all the way down. And then I want to show you guys how I extend the braid, because this is not going to be long enough in order to get the length of my previous braids. So as we continue to braid down, we're going to assess how thick the braid is, we want to make sure that it's the same consistency going all the way down, except for when you get towards the ends. That's when you want it to thin out, but you want to make sure that you're consistently checking to see the length of the braid. As you guys can see, this is not as long as my previous braids. So what we're going to do, we're going to add some hair, kind of like in this section. You want to make sure you're adding hair in sections where it will be inconspicuous. You don't want to add hair all the way down here and then the braid be thick down here when it doesn't need to be. So we're going to go ahead and add it up here. And then also what you can do to help make sure that the length is going to be about the same, you can kind of adjust the length of the pieces that you're adding. You see I have one end is longer than my other end. So I like to do that little trick too, just to help me get to the length that I desire. And again, making sure that everything stays neat and keeping those flyaways down. I'm going to add some product. I'm going to take another piece and do that same little trick, but because I'm doing that, I want to make sure that I'm adding the longer side to a section that needs a longer piece. So let's see. Our middle section here, I don't know if you guys can really see that, but I've assessed and I feel like my middle section needs a longer piece, so I'm going to make sure that piece is longer. And I'm going to go ahead and continue to braid it. And again, we're just assessing and making sure that thickness is what we desire. And if it isn't, we're going to add more hair. I'm going to add another little piece. So now that we have gotten to the ends, I'm going to take a little bitty small piece just a tiny piece out of any of the sections, and I'm going to go ahead and tie it. So I'm going to take my thumb, wrap it around my thumb, bring it behind the braid, and then I'm going to take it in between that loop here. There's a loop here. I'm going to take it in between there. I'm going to pull it and make sure it's tight. I'm going to do that 1 or 2 more times. Take it behind the braid and down in that loop. And make sure you're going down in the loop. Taking it down the loop instead of under and up, just so we can make sure that that piece lie flat. And we just want to make sure that all the braids are the same length. And if they are not, a little trick that I like to do, let's see, which one of these can I trim off? I kind of don't want to trim off any of my braids because they're all the same length. But say for instance you had a long piece like this that you don't want on there, what you're going to do, you're going to take your scissors, hold the end, kind of gauge where you want it to end. Once you cut the excess off, kind of start there, and we're going to taper it off. We're going to start shedding some of that hair off. But we're doing it this way instead of going straight across because we don't want it to be blunt. We kind of want it tapered off. So that trick requires me to hold the end and kind of taper it off that way. Same if I just needed to do the whole section. I'll just take that whole section, and if I wanted this to be shorter, what I would do, I would start at the ends, figure out how much I need to take off. I want to take off that much, so what I'm going to do is put my scissors there. Then I'm going to go at the end, and I'm going to do that same trick, but just with all the braids. And it's just going to go up and down like we're using a razor, but we're using our scissors. And this what makes it taper off instead of being blunt. Okay. That's still a little long, so I'm going to continue to do that same thing. Just kind of use our scissors. And there we have it. So hopefully you guys understood everything and was able to see everything. I do want to demonstrate one more time just for another visual so you guys can see, just in case we missed anything. Alright, so we're going to start on our next braid. What we're going to do, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go ahead and add some product to the section. Divide it into 3 equal sections. And now this time I'm going to show you guys how you can start out by braiding underhanded. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold my 3 sections, and I'm going to take my thumb and grab my piece furthest to my left. Crossing that middle section over, taking that left section underneath the middle section, taking that right piece and grabbing it, taking it underneath the middle section. I'm going to stop right here, and I'm going to go ahead and add a piece of extension, taking it underneath, adding it to the middle section and the right section. And then we're going to continue to braid, taking that left piece underneath the middle section, taking that right piece under the middle section. We're going to stop right here, and as you guys can see, as I'm braiding, I like to pull on the hair to make sure everything stays tight, but also make sure your braid is staying flat, because if you pull on it too hard, it will, you know, as you can see, it'll flip the hair over. So you want to make sure that your braid is staying flat as well. as you're pulling it. So now we're going to stop and we're going to add another piece of hair to our middle section and our piece furthest to our right. We're adding it to our middle section here. And then we're going to continue to braid. And sometimes what I like to do as well, I'll take my client's hair, figure out where my client's hair is, and I'm going to tighten it. Tighten the braid by pulling on my client's hair, because sometimes it'll loosen up at the root. And I like to take my client's hair and pull on it. And I'm going to do that with each section. Pull on it. Pull on it. I don't know if you guys can see it up there, but it's actually tightening. So that helps to keep my braid tight as well. So now we're going to add a piece of extension hair to our middle section and our piece furthest to our right. And we're going to continue to braid. And also another thing that helps keep it tight is making sure you're not pulling down on the braid. Try to make sure that you're keeping, I guess, holding your hands up a little bit closer to your client's scalp so that braid here can stay tight. And I'm going to check to make sure that it's the thickness that I like. I think that's good there. So now what I'm going to do, actually I'm going to add one more piece. So in this section I added 4 pieces. And that is because when I sectioned off the hair and laid them out here on my rack, I made the pieces thicker than I did with this braid. So that's why I added less pieces to this braid. Again, it is all determined by how thick you want the braid and how thick your client's hair is. Now, looking at this, I kind of made that one too thick, in which I thought I was going to when I added that last piece. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back and just remove that piece. Remove it. And just continue to braid. See if you guys can see that. So before we get too close to the end, I want to add another piece, just a really small piece, just to make sure that it's going to be the same length. Here, I'll show you guys. So here, I'm kind of gauging to see if it's going to be the same thickness and the same length as my previous braids, which I see is going to be a little bit thinner than I would like. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a little bitty small piece, just a little bit. And I'm going to add it again underneath to my middle and my right section, and I'm going to continue to braid. I'm going to take a small piece, wrap it around my finger, and take it through the loop. And tighten it. I'm going to do that one more time. And tighten it. As we can see, this strand is a little bit longer than what I need it to be. So I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to start here. And thin it out. And that is how I do my knotless braids. And it should come out like so. Alright you guys, so if you have any more questions or if I missed anything, definitely leave me a comment below and I will do my best to answer those questions for you guys. Also let me know any future videos that you guys may be interested in me going through more detail about, and I can bring those videos to you guys as well. But as for now, thank you guys so much for watching this video and I will talk to you guys later. Bye!